Hi guys, and welcome back to my weekly vlogs. For those who are new here, my name is Lauren. I'm 25 years old. I'm a full-time social media coordinator and a part-time content creator. For those who have been following me on my vlog journey, welcome back. Thanks so much for, sticking with it. I super appreciate the support. And for those who are new, for those who are back, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Okay, so I figured I would kind of touch up on a few different topics today. One of them is girl talk. I went to the doctor's last week and everything was fine. Everything was great. It was more like a checkup more than anything else. I wanted to get my pap done as well because I hadn't gotten a pap done, I think, in like a few years. Yeah, because I've just been so busy with just general life and, this pandemic, kind of like put that on hold for me personally. So I finally was able to get that done. That was a super huge relief for me. And then I'm going to go a little bit into my personal journey with carbs. As a precursor to what I'll be talking about, I've noticed that I've eaten a lot of carbs in the last few years. I'm sure we all have. And for me personally, I love carbs, but I feel like it's time that I kind of start to portion control those carbs because I feel like it's not good for my body, and for me personally, I just want to be a little bit better with what I'm ingesting. So it's been super great having a nutritionist for a fiance, being able to help me through this journey of mine. And then lastly, I want to talk about clothes because I love clothes, and I kind of did this to myself. I basically created this challenge for the month of February where for 28 days I will be wearing outfits that I deem appropriate enough to wear to my workplace, and I'll explain a little bit more towards the end of this whole thing. So let's get started. So, girl talk. Okay, so I ended up going to the doctor's because I had scheduled an appointment, I think like 2 weeks before, and my initial thing was that I wanted to go see an OB/GYN because I wanted to do my pap exam with an OBG. So the doctor's office that I called that had basically been correlated with my insurance said that the doctor who used to do it doesn't do it anymore, but was more than willing to give me like a checkup, just a regular one. And so I was like, you know what, that's fine. I have to get one done anyways. Might as well. So I had 3 goals in mind when I was going to the doctor's last week. My first one was to figure out if I had to make an appointment with a specialist for an OB/GYN through the office that I was going to for the doctor's appointment. My second one was to figure out if I could get a Tdap booster, which is just short for whooping cough booster. And then 3, I wanted to take a pregnancy test. Now, in my experience, I used to go every year to Planned Parenthood and I would get my version of a checkup with the nurses there. So if you're not familiar with the process, when you go to Planned Parenthood and you finally, after waiting like hours to get in, you get your blood drawn to get tested if you have any STDs, STIs, UTIs, whatever. They ask you all the personal history questions about your personal life and everything. They weigh you, they give you blood pressure tests, they test your lungs and your breathing and your heart and everything. And that was my version of getting my checkups once a year. But I wanted to also get my pap done, so that's why I wanted to ask about the OB/GYN stuff. So basically, I wanted a pregnancy test because although I am taking contraceptives, taking birth control, on Sunday of last week, my fiance decided that he wanted to add CBD oil into our smoothies, and that's not unusual for us. We sometimes will do that with our smoothies, especially like if one of us is having a kind of already stressful morning, because we like to have smoothies for breakfast rather than like eggs and toast or whatever, or cereal. But for whatever reason, and I've never had a terrible experience with CBD oil, so this was the first time ever that this has ever happened to me. So it had to be like the way that it was stored before we bought it, or however, I don't know. Like I'm not an expert, so I don't know. But I had finished my smoothie, and I think like 2 minutes after finishing my smoothie, I felt sick. I was getting migraines. I could not stand long enough without wanting to fall over, like faint fall over. Natural light, like this natural light was just super blinding to the corners of my eyes that I had to close the blinds, and I was crouched in a ball on the couch holding my face like this because it was the only way to block out any of the excess light coming through the blinds. So I think I had a worse experience than Jason did because he wasn't really experiencing, he had the headaches and the like body aches of some kind. Like I don't know what he had really, but for me it was like my head was hurting, so I had like a migraine going like right here in the front, kind of to the side right here. The light sensitivity was there for me. He had a little bit of light sensitivity, and then I ended up throwing up. And I think I threw up twice that morning on Sunday. And I was pretty much in pain, and he was pretty much in pain too for about 4 hours. So we didn't really start feeling better till about 2:30, 3 o'clock-ish in the afternoon, and we had to go run errands that day because we didn't the day before. So that was kind of a mish, going and feeling like shit and then having to go to the grocery store basically. And it was so weird because after we ate food and we were kind of relaxing, drinking tea and water, like I started to feel fine. I didn't have any like symptoms again, like anymore. I didn't throw up. And then we went to bed Sunday night. And then at 5 in the morning, like almost exactly on the dot, 5 a.m., I got the biggest migraine like that I've ever had. Like I don't even know, in my whole life, that was the worst, biggest headache I think I've ever had, and it woke me up and I didn't know what to do. I was freaking out. I got up, I moved to the couch to try to sleep. I took Advil. I ended up throwing up the Advil at like 6:30 in the morning. I could not get comfortable, and so I basically had to call out that day because I just felt like complete shit, and I felt like that pretty much all day till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I was really grateful that I was able to take the day off to relax and rest, because the next day I was completely fine. It was like it never happened. So weird. So it was kind of like a scare for us because one of the symptoms obviously for pregnancy signs is throwing up, and another one's headaches, and a bunch of other things. So weirdly enough, I was feeling all of the symptoms of pregnancy, and so I was like, you know what, I might as well get tested. So I got tested at the doctor's. Turns out it was negative. So I mean, I was kind of relieved, but at the same time I definitely would have welcomed the idea of being pregnant. So definitely like can't wait, you know, when the time does come for me to be pregnant. But I was just relieved in general that it wasn't anything crazy, and that like all the symptoms pretty much left me, and that I was fine, and the doctors didn't find anything like wrong with, you know, my blood samples or anything like that. They said my BMI was good, my blood pressure was great. So I was happy that after all of the, you know, body trauma that I experienced with the CBD oil, that everything was fine, you know, because that's the most important thing. So while I was there, I got my pap done because they asked, and I was like, well, I mean, I don't want to have to make another appointment. If you're going to do exactly what they're going to do, we might as well, because that's what they do too. So she went from head to toe, you know, the whole thing, you put your arm above your head when you're laying on the bed thing, and she felt around making sure that she didn't feel any bumps anywhere, because I do have a history of breast cancer with my grandma. So that used to be a concern of mine as well. And so she checked there, and then she checked my stomach and my pelvis, and then she put me on the stirrups. And this is like the weirdest experience I feel like ever. And for those who aren't familiar, you have to sit on the edge of that little bed in the office or the room that you're in, and then you put your legs up on the stirrup, so it's pretty much just like this, you know, you're kind of like leaning, like laying back on your back, and you know, they get this metal contraption of sorts, and they go in and open you up, and they just have to make sure everything's good in there too, and everything was fine. But this is the second time this has ever happened, and I have to say the first experience was terrible. She was not gentle. She was super quick. It was almost like this was just the worst job on the planet for her. She like absolutely hated doing this. And the other doctor, she said she really doesn't do this often because now she's a family doctor. So she was like, well, that's totally fine with me. I don't mind. I got nothing to do. and she was so supportive and so sweet. She was saying like, you're doing a great job, just relax, like you're doing great, you know, we're almost finished here. And like literally like her talking me through the process made it go by so much quicker than I thought it was gonna be. So I was super grateful for that. And you know, she did the rest of what she had to do down there, and then I was finished. And then I asked, because my after that, and after kind of getting some other personal questions out of the way, I had asked about the Tdap shot. And for those who remember, Tdap shots, or the whooping cough shots, excuse me, you get those when you're a baby, and then when you do like your HPV shots or something like that, you get it again or something along those lines. So I had already gotten mine, I guess, according to my records. So they were saying like, oh, you could like wait a little while longer for yours if you wanted. But apparently I'd have to call my insurance to see how much getting a booster shot for that would cost. And the only reason why I even need this is because my future brother-in-law's fiance just had a baby recently, and their requirement to see the baby is that you have to get your whooping cough vaccination updated. So my doctor had said that basically the only times you can get this for free is when you're a newborn, when you are a teenager getting your HPV shots and everything, or you're pregnant. That's the only times you get these updated. Otherwise, they tell you you have to wait 7 to 10 years in between, and you have to call your insurance to get basically a number of like a pricing on how much it would cost to be able to, you know, get this thing done. So I don't know. I was like, oh, that's some new information for me. No one's ever told me that. So glad I asked, because I told my fiance this, and he was like, huh. Like now he's like thinking like I have to call my insurance and see if that's even a thing too, because like I don't know if that's just my insurance or if that's everyone's insurance. So it was definitely nice being able to be told that, because like I feel like maybe not everyone knows that. Like I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Like if you know that, let me know in the comments below, you know, or your experiences with that too, because like everyone's is so different, you know what I mean? But I just was so grateful that it was such a productive like appointment, because for me personally, I get way nervous when I do doctor appointments versus dentist appointments. Like for whatever reason, dentist appointments, I already know what to expect. I know what's going on in my mouth, and because I see it, I floss, I brush, mouthwash, all that kind of stuff, right? But like as much as I take care of my body, I don't know what else is going on that like they can catch, you know what I mean? Or they see or whatever. And you only go like once a year. The dentist, you go every 6 months. So I don't know. It just makes me personally like more scared to go to the doctors. I've heard some people are like the opposite sometimes, or sometimes people are more afraid to go to the optometrist versus the dentist. It just depends, you know what I mean? So I was just happy that it was such a smooth, easy, not so quick, but you know, decently allotted time to being at the doctor's, and nothing bad happened. But yeah, so thankfully that happened and I got that over with, so I can wait another year before I have to go to a doctor. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and transition to the carbs. Even though when I went to the doctors, they said that my weight was fine and that my BMI was good, I just feel like personally I've been carving out a little too much lately. I love potato chips, I love fries, I love bread, I love everything that has to do with carbs, but I also really want to have kind of less body fat, and I really want to have kind of like a healthier intake of food. And I definitely think that my amount of carbs, and this is just me and my personal observation with myself, this isn't having to do with anything with my fiance or friends or family letting me know this is just me talking to me, you know, in the mirror and going like, you should probably lay off some carbs. So it's not crazy. It's not like I'm wholeheartedly like gonna give up on carbs. Like Jason and I had a cheat day or cheat night the other night, so it wasn't too crazy. I'm trying to basically portion control my food and do light carbs. So just very minimal if possible. Trying to do vegetables a lot more, heavier on the protein. And then obviously I'm working out as well. So trying to incorporate all of that. I'm starting to notice a difference. It's been about a week, I think. So Gonna try to keep it up for as long as I can. I am absolutely terrible at follow through when it comes to this stuff. Like, I'll be good for about a week or two and then I just give up because I'm like, oh, okay, well, I've been doing so good, I can take a break, and then my break goes from a day to like a week to a month, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta start all over again. So I'm hoping that I can stay as consistent as possible this time, because I feel like for me, I just feel lighter now that I haven't been overloading on carbs like I usually do. I do feel a lot hungrier because most of my diet consisted of carbs, and so that filled some of that hunger that I'd have. But then that also tells me that maybe I wasn't having enough protein or enough vegetables in my diet. So now when I'm kind of portioning everything out, I'm actually a lot more content after my meal than usual. So I'm definitely noticing a difference. I think it's super important to just listen to your body, to see what it's like kind of going on around there, and kind of make executive decisions for yourself and see if that's a healthy route for you. Again, this is just for me. If you guys are curious about what we're doing, I can talk about that as well, like more in depth, and the type of food that we're eating. Obviously this isn't for everybody, so don't feel like, you know, one person's doing it, you have to do it too, or whatever. I don't know. Like, I just feel like I should say that because some people will feel inclined like they have to do that too or something. And I used to feel that way too. I used to feel like I have to have that kind of a body, otherwise I'm not attractive, or I have to eat this way, otherwise I'm not healthy, or whatever the case may be. But this is just for me. It makes me happy, and so I'm going to try to follow through with it myself. So yeah, now let's transition to my last topic for the day. So as I mentioned before, my job allows me to work from home, but they're taking it like in a month by month basis, where basically they just try to see how many COVID cases they are getting a month, and kind of decide if they have to extend the stay at home mandate for us. And so we don't know when we're supposed to go back. There's no finite thing. And so we could literally go back next week and we just never know. So for me, I don't think in my case, like, we're gonna be going that quickly back into the office. But for the month of February, since it's coming up already, I figured for 28 days, I would wear 28 outfits that I felt were business casual appropriate for my workplace. And this idea that I had basically was that I would document it for a whole week, and then I would go through each outfit. Since there's 5 days in the week, I would do, 5 different outfits per episode, and talk about the outfit, talk about where I got it from, why I paired it with this, or whatever the case may be. And there might be repeat shirts, repeat skirts, repeat, different items, because what I'm trying to do is use everything that I have in my closet rather than going and buying an entirely new wardrobe just for work, because I am noticing that I'm not wearing a lot of the clothes that I own in general. I actually got rid of a lot of clothes because I felt like I just wasn't wearing those clothes anymore. And some of those clothes weren't even work appropriate anyways. So for me, I really am trying to develop, like, not a fashion trend, like a closet, I guess, of just clothes that are me, but also for work and all this kind of stuff. So it's going to be a real challenge for myself personally, because I'm not very good when it comes to, like, pairing clothes together well. I feel like sometimes I have, like, really questionable ideas. So we'll kind of see how it goes. My goal is basically to wear the clothes throughout the day. So instead of just like wearing it, documenting it, I'll wear it for the entirety of my 8-hour shift for work and then change after work, so that it gives me kind of the illusion that I'm at work. Kind of like if your parents were like this when you were on summer vacation or even like winter vacation. I think like 2 weeks before school would start, or depending on the type of vacation, a few days before, my dad would basically train us to go to bed early and wake up early and basically force us to be awake at that time, or force us to go to bed at that time and sleep, so that we would slowly transition into a routine of getting ready for school. I think it worked well for me personally. I can't attest for my brothers, but for me, building that routine really helped. It really got me into the mindset of school, and it really helped me learn how to organize my time better. So I kind of implement that idea into this challenge, so that when we do finally go back to work, I can already like have an idea of what I would wear, and then already be in that routine of like, okay, it takes me this long to get ready, I need to shorten that time, or I have enough time to do this, or whatever the case may be. Kind of alter my routine based on how quickly or slowly I get ready. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm super excited for this challenge too, so I hope you guys can follow me on this journey and this challenge with me. Would really appreciate your guys' support. If you guys want to leave comments in the comment section, please do. Please be nice. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And again, can't say it enough, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, okay? You guys have a lovely rest of your week. Bye.